is Mohammed Tanveer, and today I'll be presenting a case study about the automation of a government department in Pakistan with the power of Drupal. This project, which is called Public Accounts Committee Information System, this project was initially incepted in 2021-22. The collaboration was between World Bank and the local government, and we reached out to them and we presented our case using Drupal. And then over the course of 6 months, we had multiple meetings with them to convince them to automate their system and digitize their system so that they can improve their performance and improve their scalability and save a lot of time for themselves. And then finally they approved the project, and then we at the same time, during that time, we also presented the power of Drupal, the security of it, the scalability of it, and and the way how big enterprise projects are done in Drupal across the world. So finally, we were able to convince them because they had an IT department and they did a lot of convincing. The project was called Public Accounts Committee Information System. Today, I am going to explain to you what the project was, what was the problem statement, how did we understand the problem or analyze the problem, and then what is it that we used in Drupal to address that problem. And then I will also share some success story about it because it's in operation since 2023, and over the past year or year and a half, it has gathered some good success. So I'll be sharing all of that in this case study. My name is Mohammed Tanveer Khan. I run a small software company in Islamabad, Pakistan. I have been a Drupal speaker. Internationally, I've spoken at DrupalCon Singapore. I'm speaking at this event, and I'm also shortlisted for DrupalCon Vienna, which is happening in a couple of months. Locally, I've been a part of majority of the Drupal camps that happen in Pakistan in different cities, and in some of them I've been a keynote speaker. I have 15 years of experience in web and mobile application development, and I have a specialty in public sector automation and large-scale Drupal implementation. I have experience with government, non-profit, and enterprise digital transformation projects. So this is just this is the landing page of the project. As you can see, Public Accounts Committee Information System. So this here is where I will explain what was the issue that we received from the department and what were the different hindrances that were being caused by the manual system. So they had a manual procedure and they had manual data processing. So there were printed papers, and then those papers were filled in the form of booklets, and then they were kept physically over long periods in different rooms and storage rooms. So there was a huge repository of data, all in physical form. Then, because it was all manual and it was taking a lot of time, it had a huge backlog. So when we started the project in 2021-22, the backlog was for at least 8 to 10 years. So they were still working on audit reports of 8 to 10 years back because it was a manual system. In every year's so in reality or logically and legally, they were supposed to fulfill the whole audit report of 1 year in the following year. So if it's the audit report of 2022-23, legally they were only supposed to do that in 23-24 in the following 1 year. But because of the manual nature of this thing, it was generating a huge backlog. Because of that, there were a lot of delayed responses. And the delayed responses was because, again, the system was manual. There was transportation of documentation from one city to the other city. Balochistan is a huge province, basically the largest in terms of area in Pakistan. So one city is, hundreds of miles away from the other city, and there is manual. When there was manual system where documentation needed to be transported, then it take days and sometimes it could take weeks as well. And then the return responses from those departments would again also take weeks and days. So that is why the responses was always delayed. Again, the system was paper-based, as I mentioned. All the things were physical, everything was on paper, and it was prone to errors. It was prone to getting discarded. It was prone to a lot of weather situations and all of that stuff. Follow-up decisions were difficult. So, for example, I'll give a little bit of a background. So the background is that every year the finance department of each province, they do an audit of the previous fiscal year about all the public money that is spent across the province by the different departments. For example, the Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Police, Department of Higher Education, and so on and so forth. Every year, they do an audit throughout the year. They visit the projects, they visit the departments, they visit the places where those projects were conducted, and they carry out a complete audit. And based on that audit, they compile a book called the audit report towards the end of the year. Then that audit report has audit paras or audit observations. So for example, if a project happened in the Department of Education, the audit observation could be that, okay, 500 million rupees was spent in this, and all of this was spent in a legal and a fair way. There's no problem with that. In that case, that audit observation does not need to be looked at any further. But then it could be an audit observation that another project where there was 100 million rupees spent, there was irregularities in taxes, irregularities in paying to the vendors, and there are different types of irregularities that could be found. So then that audit report then needs to be assessed and visualized. And then the process is that the Public Accounts Committee, which is a provincial body, it requests those departments or asks responses from those departments related to those audit observations. Like they question them that the auditors have found that you have not been able to use this public fund in a fair way, and these are the audit observations, so you need to answer them. So that whole process was pretty slow when it was manual. And then there were prolonged PAC meetings. So prolonged because, for example, if someone needs to arrange a meeting, whenever the Public Accounts Committee used to arrange a meeting, they used to start planning anywhere between 3 to 6 months before that meeting. And then they used to start, sending out physical manual papers to all concerned departments and concerned people about their availability. Then their availability would be confirmed with their pay again in the form of paper. All of that process used to take months and months. And so every meeting used to take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to be able to schedule. So these were all the problems that we faced. Now, next I'll explain how did we address each one of them. So one of the first existing problem was the manual data processing. How did we solve this through our system? So we solved this because the first thing that we did was electronic generation and sending of notice and agenda of meeting. What happened is in the past, notice and agenda of meeting used to be printed, and it used to be printed in tens of numbers because there are multiple people, like there were people from finance department, from the law department, from the provincial secretariat department, from the concerned department, multiple people. Then there was auditor general, then there was auditor general. So all of those people used to get a physical copy of the notice and agenda. Then some of them might also say that, okay, I'm not available. Then that meeting would be pushed further. But now through our system, there's an electronic agenda, one click, you fill in a form, one click, and at the same time of that click in real time, all the people who are concerned or who are associated with that specific meeting, they are all sent an invitation right there and then. And when they are sent an invitation, the system binds them to respond within a specified frame of time about that meeting. And they can request a rescheduling, but it's not like the old system when even the rescheduling would take months. So that has speed up the scheduling of meetings. Then electronic submission of replies. Previously, there used to be physical copies of questions being sent from the Public Accounts Committee to the concerned department, and then the concerned department would send a reply in terms of physical copies, printed papers. Again, taking a lot of time, taking a lot of paper. That has been completely removed. And access of participant to PACIS for advanced study and preparation of audit observation and department replies thereon. So what we did was, previously, even if they used to send them physical copies, the department would end up landing on the meeting day and saying that they are not prepared because they did not receive the copies in time, and the copies were lost in mail or something of that sort. But now, because everything is online, those concerned departments can see them at any time, even off office hours, even on weekend, at any time, because they have a specified secure access to it. So that issue has been resolved. Displaying of cases before PAC members and other participants during meeting for decision. So previously, during the meeting, there were like 20 or 30 participants, or even more sometimes. Each one would be having their own copy, printed copy, and it was different to keep all of them in sync. So now, because there is an online system we projected on the screen, and all of the people can see that, because it's an online system, all of the people can be synced on that one screen, and obviously all the people will have their own small screens as well. Uploading of PAC decision on the Public Accounts Committee information system. And then after the meeting is conducted, previously what used to happen that the minutes used to also be sent physically, manually into each department. Again, first getting a copy of them signed, then sending them to the departments, and then updating the decision after that. But now all of this happens in real time. So the manual data processing is completely eradicated with this system. The second problem that we had was a huge backlog. So we started digitization of the backlog of audit reports built since 1985. So since 1985, whenever this department was created in the province, we started adding the backlog of audit reports into our system, allowing the committee to conduct effective and efficient meeting and reduce the backlog. Obviously, like I mentioned a little while earlier, previously one meeting would take multiple months, but now even in the same months there can be multiple meetings. So it has sped up the process. So the backlog is obviously gradually decreasing. Delayed responses, like I mentioned, the timely submission of replies and working papers to the meeting participant for advanced study and preparation. Previously, what used to happen that in the manual system, sometimes the department would not have submitted the replies. Now the system enforces them that these are the questions, and they have 7 days or 10 days to respond to them. And then there was a time given before the meeting, so everyone can be prepared before they come to the meeting in order to save time. Real-time notifications are sent to each stakeholder. Notice of meetings are sent to each stakeholder, like I mentioned. Cancellation of meeting. Previously, if there was a cancellation of meeting, there used to be a manual process, a very tedious process, but now there's just one click of a button and it sends a notification to all the people using email and SMS, and on the system they also get notifications of the dashboard. So that cancellation and rescheduling is also pretty easy. Submitting of replies by department, like I mentioned, when questions are not put in front of them, then they are asked to reply on those questions before the time of the meeting. And uploading of the meeting of minutes, again, once the meeting is done, the uploading of the meeting of minutes and the status or the response of the task of the audit para or the decision of the audit para is also made in real time. The next problem was paper-based. So we have now made sure that less paper consumption, almost 90% of paper, because previously every time there was a document related to this system or this department, multiple copies of that, tens of copies, to be exact, 32 copies were printed. There was legal reasons that 32 different departments needs to be engaged in each meeting. Now all of that is done in online, and only 2 or 3 copies are kept for record purpose. Uniformity, consistency, and attentiveness. Now there is no fear of losing data or having inconsistent data. because it is all online. One-click tracking of data and information. So previously, if there was an audit para, and it's also possible, this is a process that when an audit para starts coming under observation, it is very likely that it is not resolved at one meeting. It can take 4 or 5 different meetings to be resolved. So those meetings sometimes are months apart from each other. So in the case of manual system, it was very hard to bring all the previous data every time onto the meeting. So over here in this system, we have just one click. As soon as you open the case, all the record of that date-wise is shown in the system. Obviously, less printing charges. There is lesser money spent because there is a lot lesser paper being printed. Like I said, 90% of the paper is cut down. And less carrying charges. Obviously, previously 30 to 35 people needed to be sent all the data physically via courier, and now those courier charges have been dropped significantly. So what are the features of this system? The features of this system, as I started explaining, one-click case file access. So previously in the manual system, it was very hard. So for example, if a case was from 2021, and we are discussing it today after 4 years. During these 4 years, if there were 5 meetings happened related to that specific audit para, it was very difficult to find all the papers that were discussed during all those 5 meetings. But with this system, it's just one click, and date-wise, all the data is sorted and displayed to the user. Then there are real-time report generations as well. Previously, in the manual system, reports like, for example, what was it? So how many cases were discussed, how many of them were settled, how many of them were resent to the departments, how many of them were cancelled. All of that data needed to be tracked manually, and at the end of the year or something, they used to create a report. But now, they can see a report any minute, every time, in real time. Then there's a searchable audit database. So previously, if they wanted to see, for example, which year was a specific case, audit para from, they used to need to look at all the year's audit books manually to find out the case. But now they can simply click the search button and search from the title, and they can find it within a few seconds. Previously, remote stakeholder collaboration means that previously in the manual system, everybody needed to be on that in a specific place in their office or in the department office to be able to collaborate and communicate. Now, like I have mentioned previously, that even they can respond to their replies from home, at night, on a weekend, on a holiday, at any time, because it's an online system. And then obviously reduce the paper usage by 90%. So these are the biggest features and benefits of this system of automating this whole department. Now I will come a little bit into the technical side. The technical things, the Drupal tools used have been the organic groups. We use the meeting and agenda is being handled using the organic groups. And then, each audit observation is a separate content type. There are multiple content types that are being created. Department replies is a separate content type. Then minutes of meeting is a separate content type. And all of them are settled or, set up in such a way that their views and filters are according to their requirements. So someone who wants to see all the audit pairs of a specific year, they can see that within a one click. Someone who wants to see audit filters of a specific year for a specific department, they can see that. Someone who wants to see what was the decision on a specific audit pair, they can filter and go to that specific thing. Then there is access management. So there are multiple levels of access. The top level access is the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee administration. They have the full access of the system. Then the second level of the system is the Public Accounts Committee, junior staff, like the data entry staff. They have data, they have view on the data entry capacity. Then each department has access to only their own data. No department can see another department's data. So that's a very good access management. Again, it's privacy and it ensures integrity and privacy. Then obviously the the access of the Auditor General and all of these people are also ensured that they only see the relevant area of the system. Then there are custom content types that I have mentioned, like there are content types for audit para, then there are content types for appropriation account, then there's a content type for department replies, content type for meeting minutes, and multiple other things. And then there are rules and custom modules. So we have created some custom modules and we have written some rules. Some are the custom rules and some are used in from the Drupal system. So as soon as someone adds an audit observation to a meeting, its status changes from backlog into active. And then whenever, as soon as they make a decision, the status of the audit para automatically changes. Similarly, there are rules that every time a meeting is scheduled, automatically using rules, the concerned people are notified. If a meeting is cancelled or rescheduled or completed or minutes of meeting has been added, all relevant notifications are being sent using the rules and custom modules. So these are the technical things of Drupal that were used in this system. Now the technical backbone is done through agent-based version control, obviously. There are sequential backups being taken, and there is a rollback and recovery mechanism in place as well. And then there is a secure role-based access management, like I mentioned a while ago. And then there are regular security updates. So that project is being maintained, and regular security and otherwise upgrades are being done to Drupal. And it is made sure that no problems are being overlooked or not watched closely throughout the system. So what are the key achievements? So so far I explained the technical things, why was it important, and what we did to make it happen, and to automate this system and to help them ease their process. Now I'm going to explain what are some key achievements that they have made. So the first achievement is that there have been 40 plus public accounts committee meetings in less than a year and a half. In the past, there were hardly 10 to 15 meetings in the whole year and a half. So it is more than triple the previous capacity that has been conducted. And there are, as we speak, there are more than 10 other meetings that are being scheduled for the coming 3 to 6 months. So the next thing is 45 plus government departments have been onboarded. Obviously, all the departments that are in that province, all of those departments are being onboarded. And when they are onboarded, obviously each one of them has a specified access. There are 75 plus active users. Now, who are the users of this system? All departments have representative accounts. Then the public accounts committee has certain accounts. Some are the administration account and some are the lower level staff account. Then this system goes to the highest level of a governor and a chief minister. So those guys also have specified accounts who can see the dashboards. They don't need to be making changes to the data, but they only have a view-only access so that they can have a bird-eye view of how the system is working and what is being worked on in the system, and how many cases are being done and how are the meetings being conducted. So those are also the users of the system. And obviously these are going to increase as we move forward if there are new departments introduced and sub-departments. 850 plus audit observations have been processed in the past year and a half. It is more than 3 times that could have been done with the manual system. 850 observation means that almost more than 4 years worth of audit observations have been processed in about a year and a half. In the past, even 1 year's audit observations were not even processed in 1 year. So now we are processing more than 1 year's data within the same year, which is why like I said, the backlog will keep on clearing, and soon there will be a day when there will be no backlog at all. There has been 9,200 million Pakistani rupees recoveries directed. So previously in the manual system, nothing like that was possible to have a real time or on-the-go reporting. All we would know is that at the end of the year, they would generate a manual report, and in that we would know that, okay, this many number of recoveries were requested and this many number of recoveries were made. But now we have a live real-time reporting mechanism which tells us that these are the recoveries and this is the recovery made against the education department, this is a recovery made against the Department of Health, and so on and so forth. So all of that in the past year or year and a half, 9,200 million has been directed in recoveries. Out of which about 20 to 25% has already been recovered. So how the process works is that when an audit observation goes through the whole extensive process, and then ultimately the Public Accounts Committee finds that there has been some wrongdoing in that specific audit, then what happens is that they put penalty, and that penalty is called recovery. So they then recover that money from the department. And so the directed recovery is 9,200 million, and then when they direct a recovery, they give a time frame to that department to do the recovery. That time frame is sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes less, depending on, it's a discretion of the Public Accounts Committee. Sometimes when they request or when they are able to explain that, that recovery is not fair, then the department can explain, the department can justify their use, and then that recovery can be nullified as well. But so far, that's the amount of directed recoveries, which is a big number within just a year and a half. So now, looking forward, we are looking at future enhancements of this system. So the first thing that we have identified is that right now what happens is that the audit paras are uploaded manually by the data entry guys of the Public Accounts Committee. We want to build a module so that the audit report initially comes in the form of a soft copy, in the form of a Microsoft Word document. So we want to write an algorithm, write a module. We have already proposed that to the Public Accounts Committee. We want to write a module where they will automatically put all the data from that soft copy and import it in bulk. So that's one of the enhancements that we are intending to work on. The other one is secure external export. Currently, we don't have a way of exporting a lot of data externally, like into a PDF or into an Excel sheet. We don't have a lot of it. They can do some reports can be exported as PDF, but not all data can be exported as a PDF or as an Excel sheet. So we are currently also looking to create a secure external report module. The other one is that we want to create an AI chatbot for navigation and for controlling the system and moving through the system. The other is predictive decision support through AI. So obviously that whole process of the process is automated, but at the end of the day, the decision making is done manually and human wise. So we want to help to add some predictive decision support so that can help the people who are in the Public Accounts Committee, so they can help making the decision. And obviously other provinces, so Punjab province, which is the largest province in terms of population in Pakistan, they've already reached out to us and we have given them an initial demonstration of the system. They have a much bigger Public Accounts Committee. In fact, it is divided into 3 subcommittees because it's a huge province in terms of population. So we have given them the initial demonstration, and they are very happy to try out initial rollout of this. So in the next 6 to 8 months, we are going to provide them with a first phase of this project tailored to their requirement, and then from there onwards, other provinces and even the National Assembly is also willing to take up this project. The idea would be to take up this project to other countries and other governments as well who work through similar or relatively similar process of accountability. Thank you very much. That's my presentation. And if anyone has any questions, then the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have one question.
So it seems like it was a really big culture change going from such a...
Can you come up in?
Oh, sure, yeah.
it'll make it easier for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one question. I muted myself.
Okay.
So it sounds like it was a very big culture change going from that manual process to the more audited or the more automated one. Was there any pushback in that regard? And was it were there any challenges in getting staff on board? Was there anybody who kind of didn't want to make the change and you had to find some ways to encourage them?
So absolutely, at the start of this presentation, I did mention that there was at least a 6 months process where there were a lot of back and forth meetings, and we went to their office and we tried to convince them. So obviously there was a lot of pushback because of the whole cultural change and the whole operating change. But there were some people from from a not-for-profit organization who was collaborating with us as an operational partner in this project, and they were very helpful, including, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but this project was mainly sponsored by the World Bank. So there was that, convincing authority as well. And obviously then in order to help them transition into this, there were multiple training sessions organized for the staff of all the departments of that province across different times throughout the 2 years period when we worked with them.
Thank you. And I guess one more question. In terms of the development team putting the project together, how many people were there, and then what were the different roles? Like, did you have, designers, developers, any other strategists who were involved?
So basically, first of all, we obviously got one domain specialist who would understand accountability and the accountability system. Then there was another domain expert who was not a tech guy, but he understood the legal aspect of all of this thing, right? So those were the two people. Then I was the main project lead. Then there were 3 other developers, core Drupal developers who worked with us. And then there was 1 designer and 1 quality assurance guy. So the total team was 8 to 10 guys at different times. In the beginning, there was lesser workforce, then as we grew into the project, then there was more workforce involved. And towards the end, then there were a couple of trainers also introduced who would, who were specializing in training related to software programs. So overall, the core team consisted of 8 to 10 people, which included the domain experts, the legal experts, the project manager, quality assurance guy, the core developers, and the designer office.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that is all of the questions. Thank you, Mohammed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Nika. Thank you. It was nice presenting, and thank you very much. Thank you all for the time.
Okay.